My husband planned a secret, romantic dinner for his mistress. I quietly sat at the next table. Then I called that woman's husband. And within minutes, that perfect night turned into complete disaster. It began the moment I saw my reflection in the restaurant's glass window, half a face in red light, half a smile, and a truth in my eyes that no one knew yet. Across the table sat my husband, a navy blue jacket, the same watch I had bought him last year on a credit card, and across from him a woman laughing as if there were no bills, no debt, no lies in the world. He was planning a romantic dinner for her. For me, in the past 3 months, he had said only one sentence: "I'm tired, we'll talk later." I stayed seated quietly at the next table. The waiter asked me, "Are you alone?" I said, "For now, yes." The moment that word left my mouth, it carried a strange weight. Alone. The truth was, I had been alone for the past 2 years. The only difference was that now I was finally admitting it. My phone was open to my banking app. Overdraft fees, credit card balances, and the medical bill I had been hiding because I knew if I told him, he would say, "Now isn't a good time." The woman took a sip of wine and lightly touched his hand. He leaned in, whispered something, and she laughed. That laugh hit something deep inside me, like an old wound splitting open again. I remembered when we first moved to this city. A small apartment, cheap furniture, and big promises. He had said we would fix everything together. Then he lost his job. Then I lost mine. I took on 2 jobs while he began finding himself again. And now, this. I picked up my phone. I knew the number by heart, even though I had never thought I would actually call it. Her husband's. An ordinary man I had seen once on Facebook, at a park with his daughter, coffee in hand, cap turned backward. I told myself it was just one call. The truth is never beautiful, but it is necessary. He answered on the second ring. "Hello." I said, "I know this is strange, but your wife is currently at a restaurant downtown. And she's not alone." Silence. Then a long breath. "Who are you?" "I'm the wife of the man she's sitting with." I ended the call before he could ask anything else. My hands were shaking, but somewhere inside, there was calm too, like I had finally set down a weight I had been carrying alone. At the table across from me, everything continued as normal. They looked at the menu, called the waiter, acted as if nothing in the world was about to change. Then, 10 minutes later, the door opened. A man walked in, breathing fast, eyes scanning the room. His gaze locked onto them immediately. The moment was silent, but filled with screams. "What are you doing here?" His voice shook. The woman stood up, her face drained of color. You followed me?" My husband started to speak. "Who is this?" The man laughed, sharp and bitter. "I'm her husband. And you?" Whispers spread through the restaurant. Waiters froze. Someone had already pulled out a phone. That perfect night, the one he had made excuses to me for, collapsed in seconds. I stayed in my seat. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I didn't need to. The truth was speaking for itself. My husband was looking at me now. For the first time that night, he was really looking at me. Fear was in his eyes. Questions. Maybe even shame. But it was too late. I stood up. Paid my bill. The waiter asked, "Is everything okay?" I said, "It will be." Outside, the air was cold. I took a deep breath. A message came through on my phone, from the woman's husband. "Thank you. The truth hurts, but it's better than the dark." On the drive home, I realized something for the first time. Maybe I wasn't breaking, maybe I was changing. What followed was quieter, but heavier. That night, my husband didn't come home. I didn't text. I didn't ask where he was. I sat on the edge of the bed and noticed how silent the apartment felt without the tension I had grown used to. For years, I had mistaken endurance for love. I believed that staying, absorbing, adjusting, and forgiving endlessly was strength. That night, I understood how wrong I had been. The next morning, I woke up early and made coffee for one. The sunlight came through the window in a way I hadn't noticed in months. I opened my laptop and applied for a small apartment across town. The rent was higher than I wanted, but peace is never cheap. I didn't calculate how I would manage everything at once. For the first time, I trusted that I would figure it out. I called a friend I hadn't spoken to in months. Life had pulled us apart slowly, Work, exhaustion, shame. When she heard my voice, she didn't ask questions right away. She just said, "Come over this weekend." And for the first time in a long while, I felt welcomed without conditions. My husband finally called that evening. I watched the phone ring until it stopped. Then again. I didn't answer. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I no longer needed explanations that came too late. Words had failed long before that dinner. Over the next few days, the story spread the way these things always do, through mutual friends, vague social media posts, carefully edited truths. I stayed out of it. I packed my things slowly. I found documents I had forgotten, photos from better days, receipts from sacrifices no one had ever thanked me for. Each item felt like proof that I had lived, tried, and survived. When I finally stood in front of the mirror again, I saw the same face, but something had shifted. There was less fear. More honesty. I wasn't lighter, but I was clearer. Revenge wasn't what I did that night at the restaurant. Revenge would have been screaming, humiliating, destroying. What I did instead was stop carrying what was never meant to be mine alone. I chose truth over comfort, clarity over denial. And that choice, the moment I stopped enduring, was not an ending. It was, perhaps, the first real beginning of my life. If this story moved you, even a little, please take a moment to like the video. It truly helps more than you know. Subscribe for more real, emotional stories about truth, strength, and quiet resilience. Thank you for staying until the end, for listening with an open heart, and for being part of this community.